You're listening to the Global Cannabis Times interview with our guest, the founder of Cookies, Berner. I'm your host, David Belsky, founder and CEO of FlowerHire, Global Cannabis Times, along with our partners, Zuber Lawler and Global Go. Welcome you, Berner, and all of you listening as we discuss some of the strategy behind the Cookies cannabis empire and hear insights about the global cannabis industry from the visionary entrepreneur behind it. Thanks for joining today, Berner.
Right on for having me, man. Good times to be alive.
Great. Hey, surviving is thriving. I think that's the word of the phrase of my week. Surviving is thriving. Can you tell me the story of how Cookies actually started?
You know, it's real grassroots, organic, like a lot of stories, founded in the garage just from a breeder, my good friend and partner, Jai, a.k.a. Jigga. Just breeding good genetics and bringing it to me, and me having kind of like a megaphone and just a good Rolodex to kind of go hype those genetics, and people naturally gravitated to them and talked about them and spread the word and about them through music and through entertainment circles. And I saw a lot of friends in high places, and I was also at a dispensary that was pretty popping at the time in NorCal. So we just did it organically and naturally just kind of popped it off.
Well, right person, right place, right time. So you grew up in San Francisco. How did that influence your relationship with cannabis and with music?
Yeah, so I grew up in San Francisco. Around sixth grade, I had to move to Arizona with my mom. We were supposed to move my father's restaurant over there, and when I got there, I wasn't quite smoking just yet in sixth grade, and smoked bud the first time in Arizona. And when I went to go back to visit San Francisco, that's when I fell in love with like Cali bud. I seen the difference. My boys back in Arizona were getting ounces for $20, just Mexican brick weed, maybe in Christmas time. They call
lots
it
of beans.
Chronic. Was that
lots of seeds?
Lots of seeds
popping out of the bowl.
Yeah. Around Christmas time, we get some stuff called Christmas Chronic, and it was less seedy and it was green. But when I went to go visit my dad back in California, and seventh, eighth grade-ish, I think it was seventh grade-ish, I saw Cali bud and fell in love ever since. And the San Francisco Bay Area has always had an incredible independent music scene, from E40 to Mac Dre to San Quinn, JT the Bigga Figure, Rappin' Forte, the list goes on. So I just knew my love for the bud and the culture in the Bay was missed when I was in Arizona, and did whatever I had to do to make my way back to the Bay.
It makes sense. And I mean, you've been able to leverage the synergies between the hip hop world and the cannabis world better than anyone. And, I just love to ask like your opinion, like why have other celebrity brands failed to gain traction?
Yeah, I say this with all due respect, like not to shit on anyone else, but my shit's just real, man. I love herb. I live and breathe herb. Everything around my life revolves around herb. I've been doing it for, over 20 years legally. And before that, I was doing what I was doing, and it's all been documented. I think that people actually know that like we focus on, on this 100%. Not only that, we're bringing like real flavor to the game. Like, the kind of strains that we bring to the table are legacy strains, are staples. They've changed whole industries. They've been a part of a lot of menus coming out from other breeders and other companies. So I think that the reason why our shit hits a little different is one, it's real. Two, we take the time and put the energy and passion behind it. And three, we never gave up. A lot of people get in the game celebrity-wise and think they're going to make a bunch of money and create a moment just by putting, logos on T-shirts and, getting a nice bag. But this is 20 years in the making right here. So, I think the authenticity and, just people actually identifying with like the story of how we build Cookies and seeing that shit hands-on and in real time, I think people really appreciated it.
Yeah, it is. Authenticity is something that the consumer gets, and you can't just put someone's name on a package that is the same stuff and that the package next to it has and expect consumers to pay a premium for it. It doesn't happen. So I totally agree. You're a serial entrepreneur at this point, and an artist. How do you balance the time between your artistic career and your business career with Cookies?
Yesterday was like the perfect example. Like I thought about yesterday because I do trip myself out sometimes. So yesterday I came to this building I'm at right now. I came here at 9 a.m., woke up at 5 a.m., handled all my emails, for Cookies SF, any other businesses, social club. We're trying to pop that off right now, vibes. And then when I got here from 9 until 6:30 p.m., we just worked on design. Yesterday was a design day, right? So I had one of my favorite designers here. We worked in person from 9 a.m. till 6:30 p.m. We got a bunch of work done. 6:30 p.m. Wife picks me up. I go to my daughter's basketball game, watch her game, turn the phone completely off, go home, have dinner, phone completely off, then in bed by 9:30 and phone on, answering emails and working until I pass out. And so it's a balance. Some days I'll take a day completely off, but that never is really a day off. I mean, I guess the balance is just listen to your body. But I work from the moment I open my eyes to the moment I close. And, at the end of the day, it's not really work if you love what you do. I love what I do. And I think it's really cool to work hands on with people. That's something I missed earlier when we talked about why other celebrity brands might not work, is because we're super hands on with everything from design to menu curation to, customer journey to store openings and partners that we pick. And so it's a lot of work, man. And I think the only way to balance it is to listen to your body and make sure that like every day you spend some time with the family and give the kids some energy and balance it out as best you can.
Yeah, days do fly by. I like that advice. Listen to your body, and I mean, your story is an inspiration to many because you're very vocal about setting out to build a legacy early in life. Through originally your music career, and obviously the legacy of the Cookies brand on a global cannabis scale is only just beginning to be understood. And I have no doubt, just from how you just described your day and how you describe your past, and your upbringing, that work ethic and hustle has been a big part of following through on any of your dreams of creating a legacy. But do you have any other tips to the big dreamers out there to actually actualize on their dreams outside of work ethic and hustle?
Yeah, you have to have purpose. Like my purpose is, besides trying to leave a legacy, I like to connect people. Like I love to see people unite, right? Like there's not enough people helping people. There's not enough people coming together, especially in the time and age we're at. Look at the world right now. Like look at the world right now. There's division in everywhere you look, there's division. But the cool thing about herb is like it really brings people together. I'll have conversations with people I would never talk to in a million years if it wasn't for the bud. And someone spoke about one of your team members being in Asia. Like we're about to go to Thailand in August and open up Cookies Thailand. And I'll be communicating with people that probably don't speak English all about the bud, right? And like you'll talk to people, whether they're Republican, Democrat, 20 years old, 70 years old, white, Asian, Black, Latino, like people all connect over the herb. And so my purpose behind it is like bringing people together. And I've always enjoyed that. I consider myself like a host. I like to host people. I like to bring people together. So you have to have purpose in what you're doing. Otherwise, the shit just won't click.
I think that the cannabis plant does help build that community with folks that you never would in normal circumstances see eye to eye with. Is there anything else you want to share about your personal relationship with the plant?
Yeah, I fell in love with that shit the second I tried it. And, even more when I tried, like good Cali herb. But like it's helped me through a lot in life, through just like finding my journey. My recent cancer battle really opened my eyes. Like I knew it was a huge medical component back in the days when I worked at the 215 dispensaries, like working there, seeing people come in, AIDS patients, um, veterans from the VA, just everyone that needed that help, whether it be relieving mental anguish or helping with appetite and other things. Like I really learned, not just from my cancer battle, but my mom's cancer battle, how much this is a medicine. So like as much as it becomes recreational around the world, we have to remember the medical benefits of cannabis. Like it's always a medicine to me. And I learned, and I've known this for a long time, but firsthand with my cancer battle, like, yo, that shit really, I don't know how I would have ate. I don't know how I would have dealt with the nausea. Like the nausea was so crazy from chemo, and shit, that shit's a real miracle right there. That shit's a whole nother level right there. So, you know, I would just say like to people, as it's a booming industry, and yeah, there's a lot of potential, and it's a high and fast growing industry. Like, don't forget, like this is a real medicine, you know.
I totally agree. I mean, and obviously you've been very open about kind of your approach and your mindset and your recent battle with colon cancer, and it really is an inspiration, I think, to lots of people in terms of hope to get through difficult situations. Just out of curiosity, has that experience made you like slow down and reassess, or has it made you think speed up and go faster?
Yeah, I wish it would have slowed me down. It sped everything up. You start looking at life like a clock, and when you kind of like battle cancer, you fight cancer, they kind of give you this 5-year projection, like X amount of people make it past 5 years and X amount of people make it past 10 years. And you start looking at that shit, you look at life in a whole different lens. So like my eyes have been open to like this clock, and hopefully that clock is just on my side. But if it's not, I sped things up, and I've just been working hella hard. And which is funny because I've been working hella hard this whole time, but like now it's an overdrive. Like I just tell people, there's no time to waste. Like, today I spent my whole day yesterday with design. Today I'm spending my whole day with, product engineers, like to come up with proprietary accessories. And so I just schedule out each day for things that I have to get done. Before it kind of be like freelancing the schedule, but now everything's buttoned up. Like every day I got to be knocking down something. So sped my shit up big time.
Well, again, thanks for sharing the time with us today. Let's get into the fun stuff, the business side of it. And I think from what I've seen from this vantage point, you've taken a very flexible approach in some ways to expanding your cannabis business compared to others. Operating your own and owning your own stores, licensing cookies retail to other retail license holders. I saw recently creating a unique retail brand like Berners by GDF out in Arkansas. Cannabis in Arkansas, who would have thought, right? While also wholesaling cookies CPG, to other retailers, launching in other product categories, now moving around the world. Was this kind of always the plan, or have you just adapted to the best possible situations within the regulatory framework that was cannabis and seized opportunities for partnerships and expansion of your brand as they came along?
It was always the plan, business strategy wise. We didn't have a bunch of capital. We wanted to kind of use the leverage of the brand, and like honestly, like it goes back to like again uniting, right? Like I know through the cannabis industry, there's good operators and good growers all around the world, and I would rather empower those people that already have things dialed in certain markets, partner with them, and make sure that we're moving faster and more efficient than like having to build from the ground up. Raising a bunch of money in the beginning and diluting down my ownership was never really an option for me. I'd rather like kind of look at each market, see who's doing what, and find the best in class operators and cultivators. The only thing I said we had to do around regulation would be like the burners on, burners title. Like certain states here aren't cool with the cookies name. And so if they're not, then we have that nice, beautiful C, and we just use my name. That's the only thing we had to change via regulations, but everything else, like that was our plan. Yeah, we did that on purpose.
And how many states now is cookies in the U.S. In terms of a branded retail experience versus like a CPG? Is it the same for both?
Yeah, I believe we have 50 stores in 7 countries. I'm not sure which states. It just changes every damn day. But something wants to tell me like 14 or 17 different markets. I could be wrong. If I am, my bad. But yeah, I mean, I know for sure we have 50 actually branded retail stores right now.
Well, there's always that lag between when the store gets approved to when it actually opens, and sometimes that could take years in this industry. So it's tough to keep track, I'm sure. When you're looking for partners, what do you look for, and does it depend on sort of the state, whether you're looking for like a cultivation partner or a retail partner? Like how do you go about that sort of strategy and vetting process?
Yeah, I think in every market we need cultivation, we need retail. There's only like one or two markets right now where we're fully integrated, like Florida. We had to buy the license and build our own cultivation and get our own stores, which is cool. But like, what I look for in operators are like, if it comes to cultivation side, what are and how are you growing currently? Like, what's your bud look like without us? And like, what kind of menu do you have? What's your reputation in the market you're in? Like, what's your experience? What's your vibe? What's your SOPs? Are you whole plant hanging? Are you hand trimming? Are you doing all the things that like kind of checks our box? And then we do some QC on their product. Fly in, check out their bud, smoke it, make sure it's good with that prior to us even working with them. And if they kind of check all those boxes, then we kind of start like going down the list of like, are we aligned on like business on the deal about the structure? And if we are, then we kind of do some test runs with them until the quality gets dialed in. And once the quality is dialed in, then we purchase. And that's a very important part of our partnership, because if they can't dial in the quality of our flower, then we turn it down. And that's hard for cultivators have to hear that they're getting the batch turned down. So, we have to align on all of those things. And we've had a really good process doing that. I think for the retail, same thing. Like, what's your experience in retail operations? Like, what kind of staff are you guys going to hire? Like, who's overseeing the buying? Who's overseeing the management? Like, it's really a vibe, and that part takes a little longer sometimes. It could take a little longer than the cultivation, because retail is super important for us. We want to make sure that people are aligned with our customer journey. We want to make sure the store is built out properly. We want to make sure we have good people operating our stores with good intentions, not trying to build side brands within the store. So it's a lot of work that goes into it. And sometimes it's a 1 to 3 year process to get a partnership up and running and off the ground. It takes a lot of work. But the coolest thing for me about all this, like going back to, is we work with so many different people around the world that are great at what they're doing. And I wouldn't rather do it any other way.
Yeah. And I mean, I definitely hear what you said about the cultivation side, starting with the cannabis IQ and their ability to operate versus how much money they have or how pretty their facility is.
Pretty facilities don't mean shit. If they grow good bud, that's what I want to know. Like, what are you growing right now? Like, let me see your best weed without us even being involved. And some people have some things dialed in, and some people need to dial in other things, but our team works with them on our SOPs to get that right. And, like I said, it takes 1 to 3 years, but once it gets done right, it feels great.
I mean, Cookies, continues to stay ahead of the game in terms of rolling out new products and strains and profiles. And obviously, from my vantage point, I think you and your team have the innovation roadmap in terms of like new product and like SKU introduction of a very, very sophisticated CPG operation. And it's no happenstance. I know that's purposeful. Can you describe the culture of innovation at the company, and if anything, like how much time and money is spent on R&D?
A lot more time than money. Like I said, Jay, I got a couple of engineers coming here today, and we're going to work on like smoking accessories, like proprietary design from scratch smoking accessories. I think the first step there is I really get high. I smoke weed all day, every day, whether it's, vaporizing hash or rolling up J's. And when you get high, you think about the things that you might need in that process. So, innovation just comes from like organically using herb. I feel like so more time goes into that. Also, like understanding with the customer right now, not understanding the customer in the future. A lot of these bigger companies want to try to predict what the customer is going to look like 5 to 10 years, and they try to make products based on that. I'm making products for people that smoke weed right now. I know what people want. I know what the market is looking for. I understand the customer in general. I've been selling weed for 20 years, whether it be, dispensary or hand to hand. You kind of understand what the streets want. If you can convince customers that if you really think about it, in California right now, you can go buy an eighth of weed on the street for way cheaper than you can go buy an eighth of weed in the dispensary. and it's cheaper and there's no tax and you don't have to go nowhere and homies can pull up. But if you can convince that customer to come into your store because the product is that good, then you're winning. And that's always our goal. Like, how do we produce something that the guys selling weed in the streets have to come by to smoke, right? So from a product standpoint, from herb to accessories, it's really just understanding the customer and actually really using and partaking in flower and hash and just kind of seeing what's missing out there. Like, we keep hitting, and the stuff we're working on right now, accessory wise, is next level, and the kind of flavor profiles we're working on right now are next level as well. Like, I want the weed man on the streets to come buy my shit in the store, and that's ultimate. Like, if you can get that done, you're gonna be fine.
That's the compliment. What about, like, as you expand into other kind of related things, like obviously Vibes papers and smoking utensils, and the sort of CBD that you can buy from the website, and now kind of the superfoods with specific molecules. Like, how do you figure out like where you take sort of your cookies brand and apply that to different opportunities from a product standpoint outside of flower and sort of plant touching cannabis?
Yeah, I've been fortunate to have some really good partnerships like Vibes Papers. I understood that the rolling paper market was really a monopoly. There's really two people in position to have, like, multiple brands covering the shelf space, and there was a lack of innovation. Like, the fact that there was a cone, but no one's ever done a cylinder version. Like, when I roll my joints, man, they're nice and cylinder and they burn with great airflow. I'm like, no one's made a stuff and puff category for a cylinder. It's always been a cone. So to be the first person to launch that, like, I can't believe that I had to do that, right? And so it made sense, again, just from being a stoner and understanding what was missing from that category. For Santa Cruz Shredder, the whole hemp, the biodegradable hemp line that we have is incredible. Our regular shredder costs $80. Not many people can afford that, but our hemp shredder with the same design, same patent tooth, honestly, the same functionality is $10, right? Like, you can go buy that in the store for $10. So just kind of keep my eyes on it. As far as the caps go, that was a combination of everyone on the team. The mushroom blended with the CBD, the CBG, the CBNs, like, that shit is great for your body. We're trying to preach health and wellness. We've always been about alternative plant medicine. So whatever kind of sits in our ecosystem, we're going to do. And I kind of just keep an open ear to ideas that would make sense. We get pitched a million things a day. We're not just going to go slap our logo on anything. That would kind of kill our brand. We just like to do things that are cool and kind of moves the space. So whether it's something I create or something that someone in my team might come with, product wise, and we have some really cool ones that we're working on right now. I'll just give you one idea. I mean, the caps are one thing, but it's kind of hard for some people to stomach, like, taking, mushroom caps that got kind of tripped out. So you've seen the 5-hour energy drink on the shelf, which killed it. I want to do a night little shot, like a nice blue little shot bottle, a couple Z's, have it that same mushroom, CBN, CBG, CBD kind of like, blend, but put it in a shot, something that someone can just take, 8 hour sleep type thing. So whatever would make sense for, like, the current market that is actually beneficial and kind of fits with our brand, we're down to do. So we're always trying to think of ways to keep our shit relevant, popping, and also spread our wings.
Love it. Do you see cookies, like, now or future state, as more like a McDonald's with, like, franchise retail, or more like a Coca-Cola with, like, packaging and distribution partners? Or is there, like, a different business model out there that you think is akin to cookies now, or where you want it to be?
Yeah, so I would say that it's definitely not McDonald's, because not anyone can open up a cookie store. Like, right now, if you say, hey, Bern, I want to open up a cookie store, I got 80 grand. Like, it's not possible, right? Like, you can't just open a cookie store. I would say it's more similar to, like, Chick-fil-A. You have to have, some kind of, like, a lot of vetting goes into open up a Chick-fil-A. You just can't open a Chick-fil-A. Like, from what I've heard, like, it's kind of like, a process to get that done. So and it's high-end food. Like, you go to Chick-fil-A, their line, like, their SOP on how they move that line is fire. Like, everyone outside with that little iPad, they're moving that line, super cool. Everything's consistent. It's quality. It's a little more high-end. So, but it is places, right? Like, you just see a Chick-fil-A in different parts of the country. So I would kind of maybe compare it to that. There's a process to kind of, like, get a cookie store. It's not just easy. As far as Coca-Cola goes, I think that's a good example, just a little different. We would own the bottling. That's the difference. So like, I think that like having a formula, having a recipe that and a well-known global brand similar to Coke, yeah. But the one thing Coca-Cola did was they kind of like they gave their bottling business away for $1 back in the days or some crazy shit, right? So we're not going to do that. We want to be in control of the bottling in the future, which is like, the cultivation and whatnot. So we have a couple of cool things. I would compare it to like Coca-Cola as far as a staple, notable, multi-100-year brand. It's always going to be here. They pick their colorway. They're on the shelf. They're everywhere. People everywhere around the world knows what Coca-Cola is. That's my goal for cookies. Just a little more organized in the way they did their shit as far as like the bottling goes. And like, honestly, like, I just want to leave purpose behind this brand. Like, when our time comes, like, if there's stores all around the world and the year, whatever comes, I'm not here anymore. I want direction for cookies mapped out. Like, our roadmap is super far out. Our breeding projects and with technology like tissue culture, we're starting to put things away to release when I'm dead and gone, way in the future. So we're thinking hella far ahead. We want future employees of cookies, future operators of cookies, future cultivators of cookies to be fired up when they plant something. We want them to have respect on that shit. We don't want them to just treat it like it's KFC or McDonald's. You go to KFC, McDonald's, there's some kids that don't give a fuck that are getting paid minimum wage that are just slapping wet patties on a bun and spraying. Them old McDonald's brothers wouldn't have wanted that, man. They really cared about their shit, but they didn't. There wasn't technology. There wasn't forward thinking of how to map this shit out from when they're gone, how it's going to look like. That's what I'm focused on right now.
Yeah, it's a little more complicated to grow high quality cannabis than
it's a living plant. Yeah, it's a living plant. And the cool thing is, though, every cultivator loves new genetics and especially like new flavor profiles. They love that shit. And so if we're breeding super aggressively right now, we're going to be able to breed herb for like the next like literally 150 years that I could like stamp and say, hey, I selected this, I'm naming it this, it's being put away, we're going to drop it in this year. Because honestly, like, think about our parents. Like, they all talk about chocolate tie and Panama Red and all these things. Where's that shit at? Acapulco Gold. It ain't nowhere. No one saved it. No one backed it up. No one was really there to tell the true story of what that cross was. We want to do that. So when people talk about like, oh, when my dad was in, he used to smoke gelatos or this, man, like, we just want a menu plan. So when we do drop that in the future, there's a story behind it and purpose behind it.
Obviously, Cookies is a private company, so you're under no obligation to disclose anything. But are you able to share how the company in general is organized in terms of like different divisions, different business units by like product or region?
Yeah, I mean, I'll share a couple of departments with you. I mean, obviously, you got accounting, HR. You got QC team, which is like my most valuable team right now because they have to go around the country and around the world and look at product and let me know their thoughts on it and if it's ready to go, if we're going to turn it down, if we're going to accept it. It's a very hard role. You got ops, operations. You got design team. You got go to market. You got marketing. I mean, man, it's a big company. There's a lot of divisions in our company, but the ones I work hand to hand with personally a lot is operations, QC, marketing, go to market, and kind of like the team that like decides store operators and cultivation partners. So,
did you have to do anything different, like structurally, to start doing these like international, plays and partnerships, or is that like you able to kind of do that within the original structure?
Yeah, we have to do that under the original structure. You have to see who's doing what, where, right, and like how they're doing it, and make sure they're doing everything above board. And for us, the international stuff's not really about no money because I'm not sure that you can take money internationally. Especially stuff like Amsterdam and Spain, where it's super great. We just wanted that look. So it's like, look, if you're operating a great store and you have a great customer journey and you guys are great hosts and you guys are going to have these lounges here anyways, then we want to have our brand present, and you guys go ahead and keep that. Just make sure you give people a good time and and we're able to host people when they're in that part of the country. And when we pull up to those parts of the country, we can pull up to and enjoy it. So for us, it's more about brand presence than anything.
And obviously the merchandising. So like, is merchandising internationally like really the big windfall, like clothing and everything you're doing from an accessory standpoint?
Yeah, for spots like Spain and Amsterdam, absolutely. Spots like Canada, it's federally legal, so we're good there, right? So that's cool. Israel, federally legal as well, so that's cool. But like gray area spots like Spain and Amsterdam, absolutely. Merchandise and just brand awareness is our value.
Yeah, I mean, on a kind of a different note here, you've always been so open and like education oriented in your thought leadership. Like this is what's going on. This is how it is. Like very ahead of the curve. I mean, like Marijuana Mania, I think is over 5 years old, but it's still like my favorite Cannabis 101 tutorial. Can you talk to us about what Cookies U is and like the why behind it?
Yeah, we saw a lot of like social equity programs in each market just being like not really what it's supposed to be. You can give someone a license and the right to partake in something, but without funding and knowledge, what is that license really worth? They have to go partner with people on things that they don't really know about, right? And so we kind of seen what they were doing for social equity, and we're like, that's cool. And a lot of companies are doing social equity deals because they have to, not because they want to. So we thought it'd be cool to use our Humble facility that does everything from A to Z to educate minorities that didn't, have a chance to learn anything in the cannabis business and wouldn't have, the opportunity elsewise to come learn at our spot. And the coolest thing about Cookies U, out of the 5 graduates, 2 of them are actually getting, I think, in the process of trying to get positions with us full time. And the other ones want to go build their own brand. I always said from the beginning, my goal is to educate people, motivate people, give them the knowledge they need to go step out and get things cracking. But I wanted them to go build their own brands. And that's what it seems like it's motivating people to do. And so whether someone comes to Cookies U to learn the business from A to Z and place a job with us or any other company, or they come there and they learn the business from A to Z and they go build a brand, our purpose with that was to educate people. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is key. No one was really giving up knowledge to people. And I just feel like Cookies U is going to be super important because it's giving people an opportunity and the motivation to not only learn the business, but like some people came super shy. Like, they were kind of in their own ways and, came from, just a different background. And just by, again, bonding with like 5 people in a similar situation, living in those tiny homes, for 2 months straight, like bonds were, created. People have created a long time friendship from that situation. And they've learned to communicate so much more. And like, it was cool to see some kind of people flourish a little bit, so the purpose behind it is to give, minorities knowledge and in the cannabis space. And we just wanted to do it because we wanted to do it. And I think that us executing it in California left it wide open for us to go do it in places like Florida, where we're vertically integrated. We want to do it in New York, train people on the POS systems, compliance, design, stuff like that. We just want to pop it up where it makes sense. And I encourage anyone in the cannabis space listening to this, we're going to go out and raise some money to continue this. Not only kick in funds, but kick in knowledge. If you're a breeder, if you're another company, if you're a good indoor cultivator, like whatever it is that you do, we're open to have them come teach classes at Cookies U too. We don't want it to be all about cookies. We just want to provide a platform.
I think it's so important because you're basically have a whole workforce in North America is going to double or triple in size, and with folks that don't have industry experience. And you're right. I mean, it's about jobs and being able to sustain in the industry long term. And I love that vision. You might have unique perspective on this. Obviously, there's a bunch of legacy growers in California right now stuck in the middle of like plummeting wholesale prices in the legal market and more competition in the legacy market. What would your advice be right now to those kind of legacy growers, from the Emerald Triangle that have had a lifestyle, been able to support themselves for a couple generations that's now being threatened more than ever?
Yeah, it's a weird, especially in California, it's a weird time to be selling weed. It's super oversaturated. A lot of people came online. I think what fucked up the weed business was when the EDD money came out, a lot of people wanted to go to stores and buy all kind of weed. Like it's just people got free money, they wanted to buy weed with it, right? And so people went to go build 1,500 lighters, 2,000 lighters, 8,000 lighters. I mean, everyone went huge because the economy was booming, and when it kind of took a shit, there was oversaturation of weed. My advice to everyone is that good weed always sells. Because a bunch of people built these big ass facilities doesn't mean that they're growing good weed. Because people bought a bunch of facilities on the legal side might be going out of business. This is a perfect time for them to use their knowledge to go find a partner to go scoop up some of these businesses and get in position. Going back to Cookie's view, knowledge is power. So legacy cultivators have one thing that a lot of people don't have getting into the game. That's experience. Use your knowledge as leverage. Go find people in state, out of state that need that knowledge and try to find your way in the game. You know, like that. That's my advice. You can only go so far on the black market, and you know people don't want to hear that. But like, I think that like I want to see more people from the game in the future, and this is a perfect opportunity for people with real knowledge and real skill to kind of go turn around some of these facilities that are about to go bankrupt.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, and the Global Cannabis Times magazine last issue pointed to your partnership with Intercure and to open Israeli and European stores, like obviously way before adult use becomes legal over there. Like you just mentioned something new happening in Thailand. Can you talk about kind of what's in the pipeline for like future international partnerships?
Yeah, wherever it goes legal, we want to be. And I mean, Thailand. I don't know if you've probably seen, but it looks like Amsterdam right now. There's stores popping up everywhere. We actually were working on this relationship before it went legal. It was going to be a clothing store. We have the dopest clothing merch design. We just wanted to put the Cookies clothing in Asia, and Thailand being like the hub for tourists, and great food, and a destination spot for a lot of people to come shop and stuff like that. We thought clothing would be a good fit. Now it looks like we might be selling weed in August. Fingers crossed. So at the end of the day, like our thought is if it's going to go legal, we want to be there. Australia is another market we're about to go hit, and I mean, again, I'm just trying to play Johnny Appleseed while I'm alive. I want to put it where it's not, and I want to expand our brand worldwide, and be one of the biggest globally recognized cannabis brands. And so as markets come online and start to open up, we want to be there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'd tell you it'd be tough to argue with you that you're not the most globally recognizable cannabis brand. It'd be tough to say you're not, right? All as is. So hopefully, keep going, brother, because it's happening. I'd love to kind of wrap this with like, do you see like your music career and your cannabis, ecosystem and empire, like having a similar kind of trajectory in your life? Like, is it all of your life's passions kind of come together in a point where they're still driving it forward? I'd love to just kind of, because I mean, you have produced so much music with so many well-known artists and so many partnerships, and it only continues, right? And I think you've really made it public more than ever, like your process for producing the music that you love. Again, bringing people into your world, being transparent, being the man of the people. I fucking love it. But I'd love to just kind of end with like your career arc and music and cannabis. Is it the same? Is it been supportive of each other? Like how do you look at that, where you're at right now and where you're sitting?
Both herb and music like play a major role in people's day. People use it to celebrate, to mourn, to like, to vibe, while they go to work, while the music and weed are like very similar. And so I'm gonna keep making music, as long as people want to listen. I got 2 albums done already right now. They sound really good. One's gonna come out on my birthday, October 27th. The other one will probably come out end of year. It's with Be Real, but I think that like if I stop ever rapping, because I don't know how long rap's gonna. I mean, I don't know how long I'm gonna want to do it. My ear for production and A&Ring projects is probably like my next path. I'm really starting to double down on like on TV, film, documentaries, stuff like that, and some of the short films I'm working on, some of the the scripted TV series I'm working on with bigger networks, I'll announce that when it happens, are going to come with soundtracks. And so my passion for music will always be there. I'm gonna keep rapping until people don't want to hear the shit no more. When people kind of get played out of it, I just plan on A&Ring and producing music in general. I love music. It's therapy. I think I'm good at selecting beats and putting things together. So I do have a plan on sticking with that for a long time, and I think that like the evolution of my music will be me actually being A&R, like helping people with their projects, producing soundtracks. That's what I'm really into right now. Just the thought of like being able to put certain artists on certain beats and collect certain records from different artists, like it's attractive to me.
Well, it's like it's paying it forward, right? I mean, like people helped you get your career off the ground, and you're bringing that value not only in Cookies U and what you're doing to help people find their home in the legal industry, but also in terms of how you can affect other people's music career. And it feels good, right?
Yeah, there will always be music and weed in my life. It's never gonna go nowhere.
Well, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all. I mean, I very much appreciate you sharing part of your morning with us. I know every moment is a blessing at this point, and and I appreciate the chance to have this time. And we'll share what we came up with here with the Grasslands team, so that they're all cool with it. But it's the most, you're the real deal in terms of the most unique, authentic California cannabis story that is shaping the global cannabis industry. And who knows what other cannabis brands from California are going to make a dent on the global scene. It's definitely yet to be determined. But Cookies already has. And, so it's an honor to have this opportunity.
I appreciate you guys, man. I appreciate you guys telling the story, and our goal is just to stick around. We kind of got a good name right now, but the goal is to keep that name good, so that's what we're working on every day.
Focus on quality, man, in the consumer. I think that's the biggest pitfall of success, is just putting whatever in the package. It'll work for a while, but not, but I think you're on the right path, man. So thank you again. And thank you, Kim, for setting this up. And I look forward to seeing how the issue turns out.
Right on.